everybody. This is our live. Okay, I'm going to do this again because it's helpful when I turn off the commenting. There we go. Okay, so today we're talking about The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, translated from the Japanese by Stephen Snyder, with Erica Durance, who I'm going to add to this conversation. She is in the middle of moving. Invited you, so you should be able to join me. Oh, she should appear soon, maybe. Ha! She's there. She is crooked.
Oh, are you up and down?
There. Hi.
I was just talking about what I should do here. I'm just arranging my camera.
I like the leaf shadow. It's beautiful.
I mean, the one here. Oh, there. That's a bit better. I think the leaf shadow is better since we're talking about an island.
Yes, right. Well, that assumes it's tropical, which it's in the snow most of the time. So, yeah. Okay, so you're moving still?
I'm in the new place.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So that's why I picked a corner, and I thought my plant would show, but it's just the shadow.
Did you
I'm
actually
in a corner that's done.
Did you sleep there last night?
Yes.
Nice.
I slept so well.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Yeah. My movers were moving me, of course, and they're like, I like your place. It has a really good energy. I was like, oh, thank you.
That's excellent. That's what I would like.
I'll take that.
Okay, so before we get into the book, because I don't want to spoil it for people, like that's always the problem with these conversations, I find. Like I just don't know how much to talk about. But this is the book, everybody who hasn't read it. It came out in 1994 in Japanese in Japan.
1994.
And then it was translated to English in 20, I'm guessing here, 19, I think is when it was translated. And then it had a good run and won a bunch of awards in America. But yeah, 1994, which is crazy because I do think the themes resonate very much to what is happening in our reality now, and especially during the pandemic, which is when I read this, I think originally was during the pandemic. Okay, but before we get
comforting read.
Yeah. You know how I love a comforting read, Erica.
Like, Kristin!
Yeah, I'm sorry. Erica was like, Kristin, this is just kind of tough. I'm like, yes, and it gets worse.
It got worse.
Yeah. It did. It's funny. We were talking about it in Fable in our little book clubby discussion group. And I think there was a real split, a real divide, because as you notice, Kay, some spoilery stuff, everybody just be aware. When you start reading this book, a bunch of questions are sort of posed, about the world, what's going on, what is happening, who's doing this, why are they doing it? But they don't, the book isn't really about answering those questions. So
people want answers, and they really want answers right now.
Yes.
So when you're reading something that kind of looks similar, this whole idea that some things are happening, we're living in a reality where some things are happening to people are disappearing, literally.
Yes.
And I'm taking my kid to soccer camp. That's happening on the same day. And you're coexisting in this experience. And so when I was originally reading it at the beginning, is people are talking about their neighbors. Oh, I saw them. They disappeared. Or I saw this person. They've been disappeared. I also liked how she said they've been disappeared. Not just
what
they
about
disappeared.
That? Right.
There's something that seems so much more final and violating of that act. It's something that's been done upon them. It's not just an accident. They disappeared.
Right.
But it's been done.
There's a
specifically for them. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of, I read a bunch about the author, and she's, incredibly popular and prolific in Japan. And she, apparently her husband went to go work, and she decided to stay home, and she was basically secretly writing at home. And he never knew that she was a novelist until she published her first book.
What?
Yes.
Maybe she was too too scared to say anything about it, like so many artists. Oh, I don't want to
Yeah,
talk
or
about it
like
because it might
didn't.
jinx it.
Yeah, and I think, okay, so this is, I guess, my point of stating this was there are cultural differences in the way that we understand privacy, secrets, private life. And one of the people in our Fable group made a nice distinction for us about Japanese culture and this idea, and I won't remember all of the words, but Oliver, I'll give you credit here, but about
Oliver?
the self we show to the world and the self that we kind of hide. I actually think I remember this quote actually from Shogun. They talk about it in Shogun too.
Mm-hmm.
And I really resonated with it because I think that coming from Asian backgrounds, this is something that I feel like a lot of cultures within, because of the collectivist mentality,
Mm-hmm.
there is some of this kind of keeping of a public self and a private self, and not in a
Yeah.
deceitful way, but in a way that keeps the peace, in a way that ensures that society can function. Um, and there is this, and this is a lot of people in the book club were frustrated with this lack of agency. Like people weren't doing enough to stop these authoritarian governmental, we don't even know, some entity, something
I
to stop
remember
them
they
from doing
started
this.
it in such a way that it was so subtle.
Yes.
It started with really, really small things. It started with things that they knew people weren't really attached to. It was somewhat outside of them. And increasingly, as the book goes on, it's taking away something closer, it's taking away a family member, and then they start taking you and then your identity. And then literally, she had them taking parts of people, which was like frightening. I'm not really saying it correctly,
No,
but
no, you're
they
great.
completely in different scenarios. I forget which place that they went to, but she went to some place and she saw what had happened to this lady. And I don't want to spoil it, but it was like symbolism of what, not even symbolism, but it's the extreme version of taking away,
Hmm.
taking a person and changing them into what society really wanted them to visually look like, which was very disturbing. So it didn't start with this and say, this is what we're doing to everyone. It started with something really small.
And I think this is why, and I texted this to you and I said this in our group too. There's an element here of what happens in abusive relationships where it starts slowly. It's something you can kind of, you can let go of. You can kind of be like, I don't need to fight against this thing. It's so small. And there's like this incremental chipping away until suddenly you've lost everything in yourself. And it's so
Hmm.
hard to even have the wherewithal to assert yourself back into the situation
Hmm.
because yourself
Hmm.
has sort of dematerialized
You
almost.
almost don't know what you like anymore. And I think it's interesting because in this book, she's talking about, the bigger systems against people and then people against people. But the same mentality of somebody who decides to abuse is the same thing that the authoritarian regime is doing, which is just, it's just slowly little things. It's stuff that everybody, because also it's juxtaposed to people, good people, or if you're going to make it really into the microcosm, a person, there's always one that's got kind of under the authoritarian umbrella that has this agenda, and then there's the people that are regular good people that are like taught to forgive, and they're taught to, oh, it's not a big deal, and you know what, I'm pretty easygoing, they can have it their way, it doesn't really matter. Or an individual kind of like myself who kind of just second guesses, there's always another way to be seeing something, and maybe that way is better. And I've always been self-reflective that way, but put into a scenario where you have somebody that wants to shift that, it just starts by those things. And I think that the author, just also showed it in the book, the bigger group, the actual whoever was in charge of the leadership of that of the island, you know.
Yes, yeah. Yes, she the so I when I was reading about her, she also writes a lot about female agency and the body,
Hmm.
the female body. And so is considered in some ways a feminist
Right.
and a feminist writer. And there is that secondary story. So there's a novel within the novel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the novel within the novel becomes very disturbing, like very disturbing. And that section of it felt very much I mean, literally, if I don't look at it in any sort of symbolic way, it feels very much about the loss of a woman inside of, like he literally he love bombs her,
Yep.
makes her feel really really great, then
Yeah.
slowly takes away her voice, and then traps her till she
Literally.
dies essentially, um,
Yeah.
and then is replaced by the next one. Like it's this,
Oh yeah, like he's got like he's got this whole, like, I don't know if they call it a closet of her. I was trying to imagine what it would have been like or
right?
sounded like. The way she described it was horrendous, but it was a multitude of voices, which means it's all these people that have gone through this thing, which
Yes,
is representative of how many people in our world go through that. You
yes.
know, we're talking specifically maybe about more abusive relationships, but um, you see it in all different facets where somebody is in charge and they want the power, which means that you have to quiet the voices. You have to take the individuality away from people. You have to, and how do you do that? You make them forget all the beautiful things that makes them who they are. And so I like how she started off with the stuff that was on the periphery,
Mm-hmm.
and then she went to photographs, and
Mm-hmm.
then she went to, there was the roses and their
Mm-hmm.
symbolism, and it just slowly, each one of them identifies a loss of freedom. And then the fairies couldn't go anywhere. Well, then they're isolated. And then what happens when you're isolated as a human being? Then you're
Yes.
really in trouble. So I took a few notes.
Yes,
I'm
notes are
like,
imperative.
I'm a student. Um, but when I grew up, Kristen, I loved fantasy books.
Hmm.
But that's the point. It's a fantasy. What I found so disturbing about this is I'm seeing it's, well, it reminded me of some of my own personal stuff, but some of the fantasy is becoming reality. It's
Right.
out there. Some of these things are happening on a day-to-day basis to people. And so I had to take breaks. I had to like step away from it. I found that after I was reading it for a while, I'd just be like kind of in a dark place. Actually,
Yeah.
it was hard.
It's heavy, and some people came away feeling, if we pull out of the kind of control aspects of it and look at it more, because I think the other level for me anyway to this is a process of coming to terms with death and dying.
Me too.
Because yeah, because as you go through your life you lose physical tangible things, but you lose people, you lose sometimes memories of things, and as you come closer to death it's like a stripping away of all
Hmm.
of those identifiers. And
It's
there's
full
a
circle.
mhm, yeah, totally. And there's a beauty to that. And if you're able to surrender to the process, it can be kind of gorgeous and sad. And I do think those end scenes, without spoiling anybody, have both a sadness to them, but also there is a hopeful quality. Um, but I don't know. It's
Yeah.
a book that I found because I've read it twice. So the first time I read it, I was less taken with the novel because I think I was trying to figure out what happens, and I was
Mm.
more in the mode of understanding the structures that were making this happen, like the idea that these memories disappeared from your own mind was confusing to me, and I didn't understand the
Yeah.
mechanism
And
through
there,
which
and,
that
and there were
happened.
some moments that weren't, and maybe she probably did that on purpose, but weren't quite explained.
Yes,
And so if you
exactly.
happen to have
Yes.
a mind where you're like, okay, 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 we keep talking about this thing, but where is it starting? Or, like you're looking for, it's just they're plunged into this existence.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I found that I can't imagine the second time going through and also knowing how your brain works because you're looking at a more analytical thing,
I think
space.
what happened though, Erica, was I stopped analyzing and I moved, like when I read poetry, I don't analyze poetry. I
Right.
just read it and feel it and let
Yeah.
the impressions exist. Sort of like when I'm watching dance,
Right. Okay.
when there is it's a more impressionistic feel for me.
Yeah.
Acting sometimes too. If the acting's really spectacular, I don't go into here are the choices that actors making, and I if I
Yeah.
can map their performance, it doesn't feel as
Yeah.
exciting for me as when I watch
Yeah.
someone like Jessie Buckley. I just watched Jessie Buckley
Mm.
in Hamnet. Ooh, Erica, maybe you shouldn't go unless you want to weep the entire time. But she's spectacular in that. But it's like I lose my logical brain so I
Yeah.
can
And you're
feel it.
just fully absorbed in it.
Yeah, and I
Right.
had I think I went into the memory place this time with that experience versus trying to use my very competent analytical
Yeah.
brain. Yeah.
So there's actually something there that can kind of be talked about in the book too, is
Hmm.
there's the part of ourselves that are conscious enough to go, no, this shouldn't be happening. We're allowed to be the observer. And we
Hmm.
can observe what's happening in our world. We can observe that it's wrong. We can step in. And then when is it, or what part of the process goes on for us to be at a point where we are no longer observing? We're either
Hmm.
so in it that we don't do anything about it, that we're not helping the neighbor, that we're actually partially so emotionally involved that it's taken away our ability to observe.
That's
And that's
interesting.
what I saw in this, read in this book too, was there are people that were still I don't want to say it, this is the only way I can say it, like actively cognizant enough to go, I'm going to hide this person, I'm going to
Yes.
help this person.
Yes.
And then there were the people that were watching, with a thing with the roses, and they're all just, oh, that's pretty. They're already halfway gone. And somebody's going, well, wait a minute, this isn't okay. And we're having that in the world too, right?
Yeah, you're
Where
right.
we're kind of numbed out, and we've been purposefully numbed out by the tech and by the different things that are going on, by the over processing of information, that there are still people that are out there going, but hey, is this okay? Do you not
Yes.
see the chain of events? Do you not see the process of what's happening to get us all to a point where we actually don't have actively analytical, functioning, individually thinking brains? They're trying to make us not individuals anymore.
Yeah, I was listening to, I think his name's Timothy Snyder. It's weird to talk and not have your phone because my phone is here. So,
I know.
so I have to use my brain to remember the things. But
Ironically.
he's a historian. He was teaching at Yale, but he's going to teach at U of T because, it's not great for certain thinkers in America at this point in
Right.
time. But he's genius and he talks about tyranny. And in his book on tyranny, I believe, and this is an incorrect quote, so I'm going to just give you a general idea of
Yeah.
what he was talking about. He warns you not to submit before the person's in power. Essentially, don't submit before you have to submit. And
Yeah.
oh, there's a creature. Hi,
He's a pretty
hi.
girl. She was nervous before the move, and now
Of
she's
course,
very
is she
snuggly.
okay?
She's okay.
Good
Yeah.
cat. Yeah, but he's like, don't submit. And I think a lot of the people in this story, whilst yes, they have some mechanism through which their actual mind deletes the thing, but they
Hmm.
are submitting before they need to submit.
Yes.
And that is, I mean, that is how we do it. It keeps us safe. It keeps us from being
Yeah.
targeted. It makes it feel like we can keep living a life, but that life is slowly being reduced and our freedoms are slowly being encroached upon.
And some
Um,
people, yes, they will willingly do it because humans also desire escape.
yes.
They
And the
want to
feeling of
escape.
peace.
And so, in a way, they will choose. Well, we all know that, and we all do it in some way or another. We choose a vice, even though we know it's not good for us. So, there's people in this world that, have accepted or taken something on because they can no longer experience maybe the losses or experience the like physical losses and the
Hmm.
people gone and everything. And so they actually start to go, you know what, I know this, but I'd rather, if this is going to be my existence, I'd rather be escaped.
Right.
And then that kind of has you thinking, what do we do just to survive because we don't want the alternative, which is like obvious death? Do we live in denial? Do we try to escape? Do we lie to ourselves for years, which is what I did? Like, what do you do to live in the world that you're in and
Hmm.
accept everything that's going on?
Yes.
Because looking deeper is just too hard.
It's too hard. It hurts. There's legitimate risk in some circumstances.
Yes.
Um, but so Yoko Ogawa was inspired by the Diary of Anne Frank, which caused her to write this book,
Right.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
To the point that I think she said that she would like crawl around on the floor to feel what it would feel like to have a short ceiling and to live
Wow.
inside of that. But as if we think back just to her circumstances, someone hiding you was a massive risk, and the
Yes.
risk was that you would die.
Yeah.
That was the risk. So even if you could consciously go, I disagree with what is happening, I do not believe, I think this is evil, this is not okay, I want to stop it. If you could do that and do something to try and stop it, which was hide somebody away, the consequence if you were caught was that you or your family would be killed. And I think that is the reality for a lot of people. But I think sometimes we make it into that in our heads when
Mm-hmm.
the consequence isn't that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay, so I feel like I want to ask you a couple of questions before at the end of this.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm just going to see if there's some questions here, but I don't know if any of them are um, relevant, or oftentimes they're not relevant. Okay. Um, so I just want to ask you, Erica, what books do you normally like to read? Like, I know that you have a heavy self-help book
Yeah,
rotation.
I do. Um, Usually I'll take recommendations at this point. I haven't, when I was younger and I was able to I somehow focus, I know that life wasn't as busy, but there's a lack of focus that I have
Mm,
that I didn't have 15 years ago. Um, but I liked Rick Riordan books. I like books where there's like
mm,
long, thick series, and it's generally fantasy where they make up an entire new world, and it's really bizarre. And I don't know if I actually got the impression to do that because my brother liked that, and when I was a kid, those were what
mm.
he would read. He would read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and so that was really part of our family. Those kinds of books, and so anytime there's something like that. I kind of eat it up. And yeah, probably 15, oh God, I'm talking in double decades, maybe 20 years ago. No, 15. No, 20. I would be read a lot of like dystopian stuff,
Huh.
ironically. And then I've gone through some things in life, and if reality looks too dystopian, I'm like, no.
Yeah. Because the dystopians are real. I mean, they're based on, I mean, actual things that human beings have done to each other and
Yeah,
systems have perpetrated
yeah.
upon their
And then they just
subjects.
expand on them,
Yeah.
right?
But I
Um,
also love fantasy. Do you have a favorite fantasy series?
Gosh, it's hard. Um, I'm trying to think of the name of the one that I like. This is what happens to me at my age too. Ask me a question and I'll forget the
That's okay.
exact answer.
Do you remember
Um,
the characters' names? Maybe we can use our two brains to see if we can
okay,
figure it out.
so Rick Riordan did a
Yeah.
fantasy series of
Is that the
18 books.
okay? Is that the Percy Jackson books? Is he the Percy
Yeah,
Jackson
it's not
guy?
Percy. He did a whole other set.
Oh.
And then they made a movie about it on Prime.
Okay. Well, other people will know what it is
You
because
guys, yeah,
I
my
don't. I
brother will
haven't
roll
read
his
it.
eyes because he's read that series probably 17 times. The Wheel of Time.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yeah. I really liked that. So I'll do fantasy, and then I kind of go back to classics: Emily Bronte, Jane Austen. Um, I like disappearing into different times, I guess, dystopian or way back in time.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
like you want to
the,
be immersed inside of something.
yeah.
Yeah.
If it's
Um,
too much of now, I don't know. It's a little bit more difficult, but I'm open to all sorts of things. I love that I love your suggestions, of just certain current things that are happening. Like you suggested one to me about what do we do when we have an artist that we love
yes.
that's done something wrong, like culturally,
Yeah,
like
it's like
culturally, what do we
monsters.
do as individuals? How do we feel about it? Do we stop enjoying their art? Like, and why do we do that as humans? Why do we kind of give people a pass? And so pretty much anything to do with like humans and psychology and trying to figure out why we do what we do.
And you and your sister sometimes talk about books together, yeah?
Yeah. My sister, yeah, I have my sister and my cousins and we do one, um, a little book club as well, although we don't always finish. I'm not the best finisher. But we get in and we chat and it's okay because, that's
Doesn't
life.
matter. It's still it's
At
about the
least you're
discussion.
trying. It's like going from like nothing to trying to get back into reading. And we're reading one called The Awakening,
What is that? The Awakening, is it nonfiction?
nonfiction, and it's based on a woman who went through a very intense Christian upbringing
Right.
and all the different things that had happened to her. And she ends up going through a divorce and just recounting her life. And um, it felt like it was just a carbon copy of my experience.
Yeah.
So we haven't met yet for that book club, but we all had to like, again, kind of read it and then stop and read it and stop and read it and stop because it was just so close to
Hmm.
what we had experienced. And it just goes to show you as we read it and as I start to look into my own education, the education you're given as a child, and I'm not talking about school, I'm talking about from your parents and your close society, community and stuff. It plays so much into all the things that are happening to you as an adult and all the things we do to each other. It comes from these spaces. And if we could all just take a step back, I think sometimes and just go, why do I do this? Where is this coming from? Wait a minute.
Hmm.
I think that it could solve a lot of problems
I was just
for sure.
listening to, this is a slight detour, but I was listening to a podcast yesterday. It was a scientist, I believe a neuroscientist, who was talking about free will and the illusion of free will because, as you know, there's a strong belief in like science that says free will doesn't exist. It's an illusion.
I have a very close friend that we have
Yes,
a
exactly. So,
doesn't exist. It
but that's
just
what it makes me
doesn't.
think of because that's what he's talking about is like you're born with your genetics, but also your environment influences you. And there is basically his argument is if you'd lived your life over again with the same conditions and the same everything, you would live the exact same life. There
Yeah.
is no other, and that is due to your life experiences that you talk about,
Yeah.
the parenting, the childhood, the environment you exist in, the lessons that you learned along the way, so that when you're presented with a choice point, the choice becomes just very clear, even if you torture over that
Hmm.
choice, even if you think
Yeah.
about it a lot.
Yeah.
There's no other path you could take but that one. Anyway, it
Because
was
you
interesting.
have a particular blueprint. I think
Yes.
that's why it's really important, especially if people want to at least consider that they have free will, or the possibility to grow and learn. So it's really important to read books and try to read books from people that aren't just your next door neighbors. You
Hmm.
got to get out of your environment. You don't, not everybody can travel, but reading can open up your whole world, and how else do you understand somebody else's perspective unless you read something about it?
A
And
hundred
too many of
percent.
us live right here in the world that's ours and makes us comfortable, and just to kind of go on a slightly side note, but I think it's valid. We also have our algorithms that give us exactly what we're interested in doing, what we want to read from our perspective, right? So there's nothing, you have to actively search out growth and change in your life and understanding other people because everything is still set up to kind of, I don't know, just keep us so isolated in our own thoughts or our friends' own thoughts. And then we all just kind of get together and we all think the same thing and we talk about it. And, so it's important to have, as, and even in the book is like, there are just different acts of resistance for ourselves and for our community, for other people, is just to keep keep doing things like that. It doesn't always have to look like big, scary, violent things. Sometimes it's making the choice to be tender and be kind to the person
Mm.
next door, or, kind of the symbol of taking somebody in. What if there's somebody out there that's different and struggling and maybe you'd never talk to? Well, take them in, be their friend, do something with them. It's in the tenderness as well, I believe, that we are kind of acting against what's being set up for us to do to each other, which is to take each other's individuality away. And
Yes.
then we don't care. And then it doesn't matter if somebody's, getting deported, because they're not us. They're a different person. They're not even a person to us at some point, right?
Yeah. Yes, I think preach. That was beautiful. And I do think that reading broadly and widely and things that you might not always choose is really important. And books in translation, like this one, I
Yeah.
think are helpful because you're entering into a new culture and trying to understand people from a different perspective. Okay, I
Yeah.
have one more question, and then I'm going to announce next month's book, which is like a real departure from this one. But my
Okay.
last question. So, Madwoman's Library, I think we've talked about this, but the idea of the Madwoman is pulled from my love for Jane Eyre and the
Mm-hmm.
Madwoman, Bertha in the attic, kind of as a representation of the wildness of being female, the things that a woman shouldn't be in society that
Mm-hmm.
get contained. She is not, the wife that she should be. She is, she is all of these kind of unconventional
Mm-hmm.
things. And she's
Mm-hmm.
been locked away in this attic and she's crazy. And
Or
so,
so they say.
or so, exactly, hence yeah. And so I asked the last author I spoke to, and I want to ask you, is there some symbolic thing in the attic, this thing that's been locked away, that you think should be set free sort of into the world, whether that's for yourself personally, or an idea, or a book, or a way of being, or I don't know, something silly like a haircut, like whatever it is that you feel
Mm.
this resonates for you?
Wow, that's a really good question. For me, I would say my act of rebellion on a day-to-day basis is to not apologize for myself and the choices I've made in my life to some other person that may perceive them to be something that shouldn't have been done.
Mm, I
It's
love
my
that.
world, it's my life, it's choices I made from a different perspective. And I'm saying even not apologize to myself, you know? Like, I did a lot of work to be be very loving to the 20-year-old version of myself that tried to be what I was brought up to be. And it had a ripple effect for sure. Again, given our education, I probably would do the same thing.
Mm,
But I'm learning now to just move forward every day in the things I do with as much honesty as I can. Is this honest for me? Does this feel good for me? Am I harming someone else? I always want to qualify that,
yeah,
because we can also live in a world that's incredibly selfish and myopic when you use statements like that. So when I say that, it's coming from a place I don't ever want to really, I don't want to harm people, but I want to move forward and go, I'm good with this. This feels right for me. So that's my act of rebellion.
beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Erica. Okay, so
Thank you,
everybody and
Kristen.
Erica, if you want to participate,
Yeah, I
which
do.
whatever.
I'm
This
excited.
one is an easy read, everybody. I read this one also during the pandemic. It is called Wintering: The Power of
Ooh,
Rest and Retreat in
okay.
Difficult Times by Catherine May. It is a perfect December read as we enter into those long, long, cold nights, especially in Canada, where, good
Yes.
God, it gets dark early. But it's a testament to pulling back and to um, taking those quiet moments and embracing them as healing and okay, and not feeling like you have to push all the time. So
I
that's the
love
book
that.
for next month.
Oh, you read my mind of the things I'm trying to do.
Yes, and it's perfect. You're in a new home. You can just
I'm in a
nest and like,
winter. all
Yes.
winter.
Like candles. I don't think you have any more conventions this year. So
Nope.
you're good.
I have
Brilliant.
one more job to do as a side note, but I'll tell you about
Ooh.
it later. I know.
Is
It's
it in
exciting.
Vancouver?
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's great. That's exciting.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let you keep unpacking.
Unpacking and organizing. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Thank you so much for
delicious.
taking the time. I appreciate you.
Thanks for asking me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love you.
Bye.
Okay,
Love
bye.
you. Bye.